So Jon Hurwitz, one of the three showrunners for Cobra Kai, one of the three head writers, along with Hayden Schlossberg and Josh Heald, did a Q&A and revealed some really interesting information. Information that we had never known before about some of the plans they had in Cobra Kai season 6 and some of the earlier seasons. So I wanted to highlight this for y'all so maybe we could talk about it and discuss, what could have been and a little bit of a peek behind the scenes about how they were thinking. Okay, now obviously if you haven't watched Cobra Kai season 6 part 3, you already know. Careful for spoilers. You already know that. All right, let's go ahead and get into it then. So I want to first highlight this question here. So Phil Verrett says, you mentioned previously that Chad McQueen was going to appear before he became too ill and passed away, sadly. What would his character arc have been, and would he have interacted with Daniel as well as Johnny? That, in case you guys don't know, Chad McQueen played Dutch, and they were planning on putting him in the show, but he passed away before they could. So John says this is from the last episode, from season 6, episode 15. The opening of the final episode was originally supposed to be Johnny visiting Dutch in prison, expecting to potentially be joining him soon because of the Applebee's incident. It was basically an alt version of the graveside scene that we actually opened the episode with, but with Dutch telling Johnny that there aren't second chances for guys like them. Yeah, which is the whole theme of Cobra Kai, that it is Johnny's second chance, but guys like Dutch and Johnny don't think they deserve it. Later in the episode, Dutch would have been watching Johnny's final fight with some fellow inmates, potentially Trey and Cruz, cheering Johnny on. Damn, that would have been a nice scene. While we would have loved to work with Chad, we were equally happy with the scene that we ended up filming instead. Found Johnny's monologue to his mom quite moving and loved him revisiting her grave in a much better place later on. Yeah, the fact they opened the episode with him seeing his mom in the grave and then close with him going back with his new family. Oh my God, bro. These guys really hit emotions that you would never have thought. Like they nailed it. Here's a question about Miyagi. So Ted Bracewell asks, so did Miyagi kill someone in the Sekai Taikai, and why was his name changed? Was that not explained in the show, or did I somehow miss it? And that is a good question, because that was one of the big things is Daniel dealing with it. So John says, we purposely didn't give concrete explanations to those things on the show because the lessons Daniel needed to learn was that he'll never know absolutely everything about Mr. Miyagi's life, and that's okay. The Miyagi he knew was a great man, and the path that got him there clearly had some bumps along the way. And that's something I was talking about a lot in videos going up to this, is that the thing about Miyagi is he didn't become this great mentor overnight. Having a dark past and coming out of it and becoming a great person is a tremendous character arc and something that people in real life sometimes need to go through. Hopefully one day audiences will get a fuller picture of those bumps, even if Daniel never will. This is basically talking about the fact that they've been wanting to do a Miyagi spin-off series. I think that might be the first project that's up, Young Miyagi. And I think that's where we'll actually see what happened with the Sekai Taikai. I think we will see all of those events play out whenever that spin-off series begins. I think that's why they kept it vague. That way we have a big reason to watch it, to get more answers for us as an audience. So the next question I want to highlight here is from Official Rackman. He asks, in season 4, Daniel told Anthony that the Miyagi scroll contained a technique I hope none of us will ever have to use. We never got to see this technique. Will we see the technique in the future? I was talking about that in one of my videos. I actually thought that Daniel would be using that technique to actually kill someone in season 6. That's not what they did, though. Jon Hurwitz says, we toyed with bringing the scroll back multiple times over the course of seasons 5 and 6, but better ideas always won out for those particular storylines. It's something that we know is in our back pocket for the future, and hopefully one day we'll get to call back. I think in order for that to work, like that scroll, I think we're going to have to whatever series comes in the future, it's going to have Daniel there, either as the star or as a star or as a side character, because he's the one that has the scroll. And having, like, I don't know, Sam or Robbie or one of these other characters have it is not going to have the same emotional touch. I really talked me and other people talked about the Miyagi scroll and talked about what technique was that. We got some good answers, man. And I do hope we revisit this in the future. I really do. Okay, this is the one that I was wondering about. This is the one that I keep thinking about as I think about season 6 and how they ended it. Gray says, did Daniel and Johnny ever find out what happened to Krese and Silver? This is what I asked, except he gave a much better answer this time. Thanks, John. No, but seriously, he says, I would imagine they eventually learned of Krese and Silver's deaths, but it would be impossible for them to know exactly what went down on that yacht. Johnny was already at peace with Krese, and both Johnny and Daniel knew that Silver was already dying. Most important to us was for Krese to selflessly sacrifice himself to protect Johnny. He didn't need credit or appreciation, he just needed to do the right thing. Yeah, and that's what I talked about in my video the other day about the alternate ending, where I said, like, Krese did this not for the glory, not for the attention, but because he genuinely wanted to protect Johnny and his family. And that's a very noble thing that he did. But it still would have hit me in a different way. And again, this is something that, we can debate about whether or not it was better what they did or not. But a part of me wishes that Johnny knew that Krese sacrificed himself for him. You know what I mean? Like, part of me really wishes that he knew. But he's never going to know unless they somehow write it one day to where he does know. Here's a bit more insight into Hilary Swank, who played Julie in in Next Karate Kid. It wasn't for lack of trying. We always loved the idea of Hilary Swank's Julie Pearce showing up in Cobra Kai's final episodes, but it wasn't meant to be. In fact, they talked about how originally the necklace storyline was going to involve her, the Miyagi one. We spoke with her rep several times, but never actually had the opportunity to speak directly with her. See, I wonder if they did talk to her, what would have happened. At the end of the day, she wasn't interested in engaging at this time. We respect her wishes and remain huge fans. For what it's worth, I'm a firm believer that these things happen or don't happen for a reason. Perhaps one day she'll return to the Miyagi verse. See, I understand. Look, I understand if Julie Pearce, if Hilary Swank was not proud of that movie, right? Because she did go on to become like an award-winning actress. I understand that completely. But Cobra Kai is a big show, man. And it's not like they wouldn't have written the Julie Pearce character better. Because one thing Cobra Kai did that people need to talk about more is that Cobra Kai was so well written that it made Karate Kid 2 and 3 better movies. I never hated Karate Kid 2 and 3. 1 is still the standard bearer for me, right? But after watching Cobra Kai and then going back and watching 2 and 3, I like those films more. And that shows that a follow-up is when you have a good sequel or a good follow-up, it can make the original work better. Like, it really can. And so I think if they did bring in Julie, they would have probably given her, some good writing. They would have at least discussed it with Hilary Swank. So it's unfortunate because that was kind of the last piece of the puzzle. The last piece of the puzzle, excuse me. This is the last one that I want to talk about today. This is about the original ending to season 3. Or not the ending, but an original scene that got cut. And I completely understand why. So, Daniel Irawan asked why Glory of Love from Karate Kid 2 was missing from Cobra Kai, even though every other song from Karate Kid was put in, like all the Karate Kid trilogy was put into the show. Jon Hurwitz says, we actually filmed a goodbye scene between Daniel and Kumiko in season 3 that had them slow dancing to Glory of Love. It was really sweet and one of my favorite scenes that didn't make the final cut. At the end of the day, it felt a little too intimate considering Daniel is a happily married man. It also didn't help that the song was expensive and the episode was running long. Felt like an unnecessary beat for the storyline that could cause unintentional story complications. This is one of those like creative decisions that I understand. This is one of those where you sit down and you think, okay, do I want to give the fans this moment? But if I give them the moment, is it going to potentially sacrifice the consistency of the storytelling? And the reality is that Daniel and Kumiko had like I guess puppy love in Karate Kid Part 2, right? But by the time we get to Cobra Kai, he's happily married with Amanda. And Amanda is a great woman. Amanda is a very, very good woman for Daniel. She's grounded. She tries to ground him. Like, they have a good relationship. And having him dancing with another woman to a love song, that is a bit weird. Even if they're just friends. Like, I mean, dude, it just, there's a certain... You're going down a slippery slope there. You know what I mean? You're going down a slippery slope. Like, I'll tell you this. Like, if I was, like, if you're in a relationship, all right, and you dance with another woman, and it's like the mambo or some fast dance or whatever, and your partner might not get upset at that because that's like whatever. Like, you know, you're dancing with somebody else doesn't mean you're sleeping with them. But if it's like a love song with somebody who technically can be considered an ex, yeah, that's a little much. I still want to see the scene, though. I still want to see the scene. So, anyways, that's it for the Q&A. Good questions, good answers. You know, I like getting the inside of Cobra Kai. Even though the show's over, I still want more. Like I said before, Thomas Ian Griffith, you know, Terry Silver needed to die, bro, but he was such a good performer. He was so good. Anyways, man, I'm out, but let me know what you think in the comments about all of this. Take care. See you soon.